Okay, today we're going to talk about the standard deviation formula. This formula has two types, two forms. One is the population standard deviation, and the other is the sample standard deviation. So let's suppose you wanted to measure the weight of blue jays in St. Louis. And you go out and find all the blue jays in St. Louis and you weigh them. In that case, you can use the population standard deviation equation because you have the entire population of St. Louis. If you go out and you find a sample of blue jays in St. Louis, meaning you don't have all of them, or if you're not sure if you have all of them, it's best to go with the sample standard deviation equation. And that's the one we're going to look at right now. So that equation is S equals, got a big square root. We need something in front of that. 1 over n minus 1 times the sum from the first value all the way to the nth value of each data value minus the mean squared. Okay, so I take every value that I have, subtract the mean from them individually, square all of those differences, add them all up, and divide by the sample size minus 1. So let's look at a specific example so we can kind of walk through this equation. Let's suppose you're measuring the height of people in feet. And the first person you measure is 4 feet tall, the second person is 5 feet tall, and the third person is 6 feet tall. Then you have a sample size of 3 because there are 3 values. 1, 2, 3. Okay, so this n right here, that's the sample size. I think n stands for number, right? The number of values that you have. That equals 3 in this case. Okay? Now, let's kind of find the average. And in this particular case, we can just kind of see that the average is going to be 5. If you do 4 plus 5 plus 6 and divide by 3, you'll go 15 divided by 3, which is 5. Okay, so our mean equals 5. Okay, and the individual data points get plugged in here. And this just means add them up. Okay, so let's plug this into the equation. We have the square root of 1 over 3 minus 1, because our sample size is 3, times the sum of individual values minus the mean, right? So in the first case, we have 4 minus 5 squared, and then we have 5 minus 5 squared, and then we have 6 minus 5 squared. Okay? So those are our 3 values. We're subtracting the mean from each of them. We're squaring all of them, and we're adding up all those squares. Okay? So we get the square root of 1/2, because 3 minus 1 is 2, times 1 plus 0 plus 1. because 4 minus 5 squared is 1, 5 minus 5 squared is 0, and 6 minus 5 squared is 1. So our formula is getting a little bit more manageable. We get the square root of 1/2 of 2, which is 1, right? So we get the square root of 1. Square root of 1 I can do in my head. S equals 1. Get a standard deviation of 1 in this case. Okay? If you have a bigger population size, which in most cases, sample size, obviously there's more steps, but we have nice technology available today to help us along the way. Okay, that's that.